welcome to the channel. I'm back to break down this 11-game NBA DFS slate on DraftKings. Before we get into it, if you do enjoy the content at any point in this video, please leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. I would greatly appreciate that. YouTube continues to tell me about 60% of my audience is not subscribed, so if that's you and you find this video valuable, entertaining, any of the above, if you could just take 1 second to hit that subscribe button, that would be awesome. And then if you are going to be very serious about NBA DFS, I do offer an NBA DFS package over here on Patreon where you get access to my premium NBA projections, NBA data sheets, player stats, team stats, play context stats, core plays, injury impact insights, and NBA Discord chat access. You get access to my entire model. It's going to give you a lot of valuable resources as to statistics that you can target to help you win money when it comes to NBA DFS. So check that out, link below in the description. And with that being said, let's go ahead and start breaking down this huge 11-gamer today. First game on the slate, Detroit taking it on Indiana. The first thing that I will say on this slate, we are at the trade deadline. There are going to be most likely some trade transactions that occur. So if you are not able to be at your laptop checking Twitter, checking whatever notification system that you are using, I would highly recommend that you probably don't play for the next few days, honestly, until the trade deadline passes. But yeah, with that being said, first game, we got Domantas Sabonis at the top at 9-4. This game comes in right now with a 217.5 over-under with a 6-point spread in favor of the Indiana Pacers. So not exactly the highest paced game. You're going to be finding that we're going to be very selective with our plays on the slate because it's 11 games. So Malcolm Brogdon is listed as questionable. If he's out, we could be taking a hard look to TJ McConnell. Miles Turner is also listed as questionable. And if he's out, Doug McDermott would probably get the start, and we'd be taking a hard look at him. So those two guys make a lot of sense, TJ McConnell, Doug McDermott, and then you can get Justin Holiday and Aaron Holiday, who are going to get bumps as well in that scenario, as well as Jeremy Lamb. But the two main beneficiaries will most likely be Doug McDermott and TJ McConnell. So take a hard look to those guys if we find out that both Malcolm Brogdon and Miles Turner are out, and then of course Domantas Sabonis at the top at 9-4 would get even more of a usage bump and a rebounding bump if there is no Miles Turner, so I have no issue with playing him. On the Detroit side, they're starting to spread these minutes a little too thin for my liking. You got Jeremiah Grant, DeLon Wright, Mason Plumlee. Oh, and then on the Indiana side, I skipped over it, but I should mention that Karis LeVert at 6'6" becomes an even better play as well. If these guys are out, his usage will increase, so just keep that in mind. On the Detroit side, like I said, minutes are starting to become a little spread thin. You got DeLon Wright, Mason Plumlee. All these guys are starting to see like mid-20s minutes, so I'm a little too scared to go there on such a huge slate, and I probably wouldn't be going to really anyone on this side of the ball. Denver taking on Toronto. This game right now comes in with a 230.5 over, or I'm sorry, a 224.5 over under with a 1.5 point spread in favor of the Denver Nuggets. So right now, this game is expected to be, somewhat of a decent paced game with a close spread. There are rumors that Kyle Lowry and Norman Powell are involved in trade talks. So as I mentioned, keep an eye on that one. But we're going to talk about this as if both these teams are the teams they are right now. Nikola Jokic at 10-7 continues to be an absolute fantasy point per minute beast, putting up 71 DraftKings points last night and consistently doing so, putting up 42 in his worst game of the last 4. Then you got 74, 64, and 71. So not going to tell you to fade Jokic because every single night out there he's a good play, and especially when we have guys like Gary Harris and Monte Morris out, it's just going to help his usage even more. I know they're not huge vocal parts of the offense, but it's enough to give it a little bit of a bump. Then you got Jamal Murray at 7-3, continuing to be a decent play, playing 38 minutes or so a game. I have no issue with you going to him. And Michael Porter Jr. and Will Barton. Obviously, Nikola Jokic is the main guy in this offense, but these guys continue to perform at pretty good rates as well, and then you factor in the games expected to stay close, and that's really all that matters when it comes to Denver because they need these games to stay close and not turn to a blowout like that Orlando game did last night at the very end. They got pulled a little earlier than we would have liked. On the Toronto side, we know the minutes are very solidified. If there's no Kyle Lowry or Norman Powell because a trade happens or something, that might open some more minutes, but as of now, you're playing Lowry, Van Vliet, Siakam, and Powell. All these guys playing mid-30s to 40 minutes. You're just selecting one or two of these guys to throw in your lineups and feeling really good about it. Most likely, you're not going to want to play, more than 2 of them or so on such a huge slate because only 2 of them are probably going to be able to have the tournament-winning upside for you. to really get you there in tournaments. Chris Boucher has really seen his minutes cut since this team's starting to get a little healthier. And then you do have OG Anunoby at 5'5", who also plays a lot of minutes as well. So it's really simple as to who you're stocking your lineups. OG Anunoby by far the best option as far as price tag is concerned, all the way down at 5'5", plays the same amount of minutes. May not have the exact same fantasy point per minute upside, but you're talking about a massive discount at 5'5" compared to like upper 7K range and low 8K range. So Boston taking on Milwaukee. Giannis Antetokounmpo is listed as questionable in this one as far as the latest update. He did practice on Tuesday. And I tend to think he'll be good to go in this one. So that's the latest update there. Boston has been in talks about trades as well. So who knows, guys? It's craziness right now, but I'm just kind of trying to throw a little bit of a forewarning out there to you guys. So this game comes in with a 229.5 over under with a 4-point spread in favor of the Milwaukee Bucks. So definitely expect to stay close, and if Giannis is in for that reason, I will definitely like him a ton because anytime the spread's expected to stay close, I love Giannis. 70, 76, 57, and 60 DraftKings points the last 4 times out. Guy literally has 80-plus fantasy point upside in a close game, so I will definitely have interest in him. And then on the Boston side, you got Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker, all these guys being healthy. Honestly, my favorite option tends to be Jaylen Brown, just based upon where he seems to fall in the salary format and his upside. But he is priced up to 8.3 as opposed to where he was priced before. He's almost as expensive as Jason Tatum. So things are getting a little different. Then you got Kemba Walker, Robert Williams, Marcus Smart. Kemba Walker at 6'5", Marcus Smart at 5'9". I think it's a great value as a discount play to these guys continuing to play mid to upper 30s in minutes. And in an up-tempo game where they're going to need his defense, I definitely like him. Charlotte taking on Houston. This game right now comes in with a 223.5 over under with a 3.5 point spread in favor of the Charlotte Hornets. So not exactly the fastest paced game in the world. Expect to stay close, and there are some options we can go to. Specifically, Christian Wood. Specifically, Christian Wood playing upper 20s to lower 30 minutes. Guy that has a ton of upside if we continue to see his minutes climb, and he has been involved in a blowout. Most recently, he was playing 36 minutes in the last close game against Oklahoma City. So he does make some sense to me. LaMelo Ball is going to continue to be out probably for the length of the season at this point. I don't know. Maybe he'll make a return, but that's going to give a bump up to Gordon Hayward, P.J. Washington, Terry Rozier. These 3 guys are really going to take on heavier roles. And then, of course, Devontae Graham becomes a little bit more of a valid play as well. But if I'm picking the 3 that I'm really confident in, it would be these 3 guys. Continue to produce at very high rates. Devontae Graham at 5'3" as far as how he's fared since Melo's been out. He played 29 minutes. He's got 21 DraftKings points. Not the greatest, but 29 minutes is definitely a big bump up in minutes compared to what we were seeing before. And then you got Malik Monk down here at 4'3". So, and then on the Houston side, beside Christian Wood, I mean, it's Victor Oladipo, it's John Wall. It's really that simple. It's these 3 guys. You can't really play all 3 of them, so you're picking 1 or 2 to play in your lineups and moving on with it because I'm not really looking to play anyone else on the Houston side of things. I mean, you were playing like a KJ Martin at one point when all these guys were shorthanded. Now all the minutes are cutting, and I'm not really looking to play him. Daniel House Jr., Sterling Brown, all these guys are going to be feeding into each other's minutes. So Phoenix taking on Orlando. This game should be a pretty slow-paced one. 214.5 over under, not very good at all. A 7.5 point spread in favor of the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix expected to win it easily, not expected to be a fast up-tempo game. And I'm not going to have a lot of interest in this one overall. Evan Fournier, Aaron Gordon involved in some trade talks. Just keep an eye on that one. I mean, I guess if they're out, you could play Nikola Vucevic at 9.6, and he's going to get a ton of usage, but chances are Orlando's just going to get blown out. So how long they actually leave him on the floor is a whole different story. But as it stands right now, like I said, I'm going to talk about these teams as the way they are right now. Aaron Gordon, Evan Fournier, and Nikola Vucevic are the 3 of the usage guys that you're really going to want to be playing. The problem is the Phoenix defense has been very good this year, and these guys are on a back-to-back. So when you factor in all of this stuff, you factor in the spread, the back-to-back, the fact that they're just a worse team, I think this game's pretty scary, and I'd probably just be playing the blowout route. I mean, if you want to play like a Cameron Johnson or a Cameron Payne for Phoenix and get some extra blowout run from them, maybe a viable tournament option, but Overall, Michael Carter-Williams at 5.4 maybe on the Orlando side, the cheaper option of the bunch, but I got to be honest, guys, I'm just really not interested in this game. You can play Chris Paul and Devin Booker at the top of Phoenix, but I feel pretty confident just kind of skipping over this one. Cleveland taking on Chicago. This game comes in right now with a 217.5 over-under with a 6-point spread in favor of the Chicago Bulls. Very similar to the game we just discussed. Not going to be a very good fantasy point environment, and for that reason, I will be targeting this game very lightly. Then you factor in that the Cleveland side is just starting to spread all their minutes thin. You got Larry Nance Jr., Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, Jared Allen. All of these guys are just kind of playing, upper 20s minutes oftentimes. So it kind of scares me a little bit. If I'm picking one guy on the Cleveland side to play, it would be Colin Sexton. The Chicago defense definitely doesn't scare me. Like, I'm not saying you can't play guys on the Cleveland side. Just probably pick like one or two, as I keep saying, but it's true. An 11-game slate, they're not all going to get there for you, most likely. So unless you get a bunch of value on one team, you're probably not going to be playing more than like one guy from that squad, or if they're mispriced, which it does happen. But Zach LaVine at 8.5. The guy on the Bulls that I would be most likely playing in a more up-tempo game, but in this one, I think he's a little too priced up for my liking as far as the matchup's concerned. So I'd probably be looking more so to a guy like a Kobe White at 5.6 or Lauri Markkanen at 5.5. Kobe White specifically has seen his minutes really cut, though, because Satoransky's digging into it. So even that being said, I don't want to go there. And Lauri Markkanen, same thing is kind of applying. It's just kind of an ugly situation in this game. And once again, probably one I'm not looking to target too much. So back-to-back games there, we kind of aren't that much. We don't have that much interest in. Memphis taking on Oklahoma City the next game on the slate. This game right now comes in with a 221 over-under with a 5.5-point spread in favor of the Memphis Grizzlies. Right now, Darius Bazley continues to be out. George Hill's out. Jaren Jackson Jr. is out. Kind of the same injuries these guys have been dealing with for quite some time now. With there being no Darius Bazley, we have seen Moses Brown really step up and take on a bigger role, playing like upper 20s to low 30s minutes, and a very good fantasy point per minute producer. He's priced all the way up to 5.7 now, but Al Horford at 6.1 is a guy that's seeing his minutes somewhat cut. Veteran minutes, so to speak. He's out there for the start, but not playing a whole lot. And then you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander up here at 8.3, which would be my favorite option on the Oklahoma City side. But it's a matter of whether we really want to pay that price tag for him when we could pay, for other guys in the same price range that probably have some higher upside in more upper-paced games. Jonas Valanciunas and Ja Morant continue to be the top options on the Memphis side. Both these guys are the ones that I would advise you to be throwing in your lineups first if you are playing someone from Memphis. They're priced up, but for good reason. And these other guys that are more priced down that you might say, oh, get a discount on, not quite having as much interest. My favorite one would be Dylan Brooks that I get the discount on, a guy that I like playing in tournaments because, he can bust for you, but when he gets hot, he can really put up a big game. Last time out, putting up 24 real-life points, 46 DraftKings points. And that's the kind of upside that Dylan Brooks is capable of. So at 5.2, I will continue to have interest in playing him. You can play Kyle Anderson at 5.1, and from there on, my interest really fades off. 42 DraftKings points the last 2 times up for Kyle Anderson. Definitely a viable option. Then you got Brandon Clark, D'Anthony Melton, and Grayson Allen. This is when things get a little bit too spread thin for my liking, so I probably wouldn't be going down to anyone there. And on the Oklahoma City side, you could play a Pokusevski or a Dort, with there being no Darius Bazley. These guys are going to continue to see those minutes as well. So the Oklahoma City side specifically, I do think is interesting for value. I would definitely have no interest or no problem with you guys playing some people from that squad. Moving further along. Dallas taking on Minnesota. This game should be a fun one, fast-paced, especially going to have some interest in Luka Doncic at the top here. 8.5-point spread in favor of the Dallas Mavericks. It's a 230.5 over-under. And Luka Doncic, very, very good fantasy point per minute producer, putting up 1.6 DK points per minute and gets literally the best matchup you could ask for, taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. One of the best matchups you could ask for. They do not scare me whatsoever, and I'm going to have some interest in Luka Doncic. Kristaps Porzingis at 8K, also going to have some interest in. The only problem is he's priced up a little too much for my liking for the fact that he's kind of capped out in the lower 30 minutes right now. But if there was ever a matchup where he could get you there quick and display that upside, this would be the one. And the same rule applies for these other guys on the Minnesota side. I'm going to like Karl-Anthony Towns a ton. I'm going to like Anthony Edwards a ton. Both these guys have been carrying the load for their team, with there being no D'Angelo Russell and there being no Malik Beasley. And I'm going to continue to absolutely love them. And then Ricky Rubio would be my third favorite at 6'4", but he's priced up for the role. But, I mean, 45 and 39 DraftKings points, there's a reason he got priced up to 6'4". I have no issue going there. And then on the Dallas side, if there was ever a time to play these guys in tournaments, it would be this game. Tim Hardaway Jr. at 5'6" continues to see his minutes climb. Last time out in the blowout, only played 19 minutes, but before that, we were seeing 30, 37, and 40 minutes. So I do think that he's a very interesting tournament play in this one for sure. And like I said, with Kristaps Porzingis being priced up, maybe I'd be more apt, instead of playing Kristaps and Luka, play Luka and Tim Hardaway Jr. and feel pretty good about that. You can play Jalen Brunson at 4-2, but he's not going to get quite the same minutes load that we've been seeing out of Tim Hardaway Jr. So I'm not really looking to go there. So yeah, pretty condensed target share in this game, and you kind of know who you're going to. Like I said, I really like Tim Hardaway Jr. and Luka Doncic in their price range. I really like Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, Ricky Rubio on the Minnesota side, and that's pretty much who you're looking to stack this game up with, and feel real good about playing those options. Moving further along, we got Los Angeles Clippers taking on the San Antonio Spurs. It's a 220 over-under with a 6-point spread in favor of the Los Angeles Clippers. So I'm definitely going to like these Clipper options a little bit more than I would if it was expected to be a blowout. So you got Kawhi Leonard, Paul George at 9K and 8.2. Both these guys definitely have a ton of upside at their respective price tags. I do think that they're priced down compared to some other pay-up options across the industry. And I just have no issues with playing them, especially considering San Antonio's defense has been very subpar this year. DeMar DeRozan at 8'4" continues to be a great play, playing mid-30s to upper 30s minutes a game. Top producer on the San Antonio side, if you want to play him as a run-back option, or you could play a DeJounte Murray, a Jakob Poeltl, Kelvin Johnson. The rotation for the Spurs is finally starting to get pretty solidified, similar to the Raptors that we discussed earlier, where all these guys, we know who's getting the minutes. Greg Popovich could change that on us any moment because that's what he does, but I'm starting to feel a lot better about these guys, especially considering there's no Lonnie Walker in this one. There's no LaMarcus Aldridge anymore. Rudy Gay is listed as questionable. If he's out as well, it just becomes very easy to be locking these guys in and feeling good about it. Kelvin Johnson, Derek White, DeJounte Murray, DeMar DeRozan would be my main ones. And then on the Clipper side, there continues to be no Serge Ibaka, so we've seen Marcus Morris Sr. and Ivica Zubac really take a bump up in minutes and usage. So you could play these guys if you want. But like I said, mainly Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Ivica Zubac specifically, a very good fantasy point per minute producer. You can see in like mid-20s to 30 minutes and not only 5'5". He definitely is an interesting option that can get you there quickly. And then you got Nicholas Batum down here at 4K, who continues to see his minutes somewhat cut out of the rotation. So probably not looking to go to him. Brooklyn taking on Utah. Right now this game comes in with a 233.5 over-under with a 7-point spread in favor of the Utah Jazz. James Harden, this one, played last night with a neck injury. Supposedly was very close to not playing, so whether that means he plays tonight or not, I do not know. So keep an eye on that news. If he's in, he continues to be a great play, even though Utah's heavy favorites. He's going to be the only one that can really keep Brooklyn in this game, so I'm going to have a lot of interest in him for that reason. On the Utah side, very fast, up-tempo match taken on the Brooklyn side, so Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, all of these guys are going to make a lot of sense. Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson. I will say that I do think that Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert are priced up, pretty appropriately, so I tend to go to Mike Conley and Jordan Clarkson in tournaments if I'm really trying to capture that upside as far as, 7, 8x. But Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell are priced up for a reason. They're continuing to see a lot of minutes, continuing to see a lot of usage. And to be honest with you, in a matchup like this, take on the Brooklyn squad, if Brooklyn can just keep it close, I'm willing to pay the price tag for these guys in this particular one because Brooklyn's just really bad defensively. And I really do think that you can capture some major upside in these guys in this one. So Bruce Brown, Jeff Green, Nicholas Claxton are going to continue to see quite a few minutes on this side. Claxton specifically at 4K, continuing to see his minutes climb. And his price tag at 4K continues to really outshine that price tag based on his permanent performances, putting up 26, 28 DraftKings points the last 2 times out. And they might need his size in a matchup where you got Rudy Gobert. They might be filtering in some DeAndre Jordan and him in this one to take on Gobert and be able to shut him down defensively. So yeah, that's my overall breakdown on that game. Last game on the slate is most likely the best one. I'm going to go ahead and say it's the best one. Atlanta taking on Sacramento at the top here. This game comes in with a 236.5 over under with a 3.5 point spread in favor of the Atlanta Hawks. Expected to move very quickly. We have a little bit of the De'Aaron Fox taking on Trae Young matchup here, so I'm going to love both of these guys. 9K for De'Aaron Fox, 8.7 for Trae Young. In this game environment, it's just going to be great. John Collins, Clint Capella, 7.4 and 7.3. They're both going to be pretty great plays in this one. And, you know, you could just load up on this game and feel real confident about it. Rashawn Holmes, Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, all continue to see big minutes. All continue to produce at pretty high rates. So, have no issues with playing any of those guys. You got Halliburton at 5.7. Marvin Bagley continues to be out. That's specifically going to give Halliburton more minutes. Believe it or not, they're pretty tied as far as their minutes are concerned, even though they're playing different positions. Then you got Hassan Whiteside, Corey Joseph. Not really going into them as much. You got Bogdan Bogdanovic down here on the Atlanta side. I do think is an interesting play, taking on his former team. Playing low 20s to 30 minutes a game. You know, he has plenty of room for upside at that price tag. And then you got Bielitsa at 3.4, who also could see, you know, a decent amount of minutes, maybe. Most likely, no, that's a long stretch. The guy's been playing like 12 minutes a game. So unless Luke Walton decides to mix it up, which he's famous for, probably not going there. We know who we're going to. It's pretty easy. On the Sacramento side, De'Aaron Fox, pay-up option, Rashawn Holmes, Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, Halliburton. On the Atlanta side, Cam Reddish continues to be out, and Danilo Gallinari is listed as questionable. If he's out, you know, you could be looking at more Solomon Hill minutes. But also, I'm just going to love every single one of the guys on Atlanta even more because that takes away that usage that he was using up. So you could definitely be playing DeAndre Hunter and a Kevin Huerter at their respective price tags. DeAndre Hunter just returning, so I do think that his minutes are going to be somewhat limited still, unfortunately. So probably not playing him. I would be playing Kevin Huerter at 4.9 and feeling really good about his minutes and upside in this one. So that's my overall breakdown of this 11-game slate. Before I let you guys go, I got to give you my lock of the night. Let's get into it. And my lock of the night tonight is going to be Tyrese Halliburton at this 5.7 price tag, taking on this Atlanta squad, seeing 36 minutes most recently, putting up 37 DraftKings points at only a 5.5 price tag. He's now priced at 5.7. As mentioned, there is no Marvin Bagley. He's going to get more minutes in this rotation, putting up 0.98 DK points per minute. I'd expect him to see around 30 minutes, if not more, in this game, in a 236.5 over-under game where the game expected to move very quickly. A very good fantasy point per producer, and quite frankly, is just underpriced for this matchup and new role that he's going to be taking on. Tyrese Halliburton is my lock of the night. So, there you have it, guys. Halliburton, get him in your lineups. And that is all for me in this one. If you did enjoy the content, if you could please leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. I would greatly appreciate that. And then don't forget to check out my KJK DFS NBA package, link below in the description. I wish you guys all the best of luck tonight, and we will see you in the next one.